Most Tyrones ain't trying to work no goddamn where. This right here is unemployment by percentage by race of male. 17 versus 35%. Y'all need y'all ass beat. Y'all need y'all ass beat. They're just saying who's not in the workforce and not why. A lot of that 17% that you see up under whites is because they own their own shit. They don't work for nobody else. The majority, right? The majority of you work for them, and you got the nerve to be sitting home at 35%. No wonder the DV rate is 3 times as high in your community, because you sitting at home knowing you should be doing something else. Knowing you should be doing something else. Every goddamn stat. Not working this past year, 27 versus 12. Institutionalized. We know what that means. You sitting up there in the county hotel, the one that comes with silver bracelets, complimentary silver bracelets. You're 4 times more likely to grace that stage. Yo, don't tell me about no bottom shelf, goddamn Brad. I'll take bottom shelf. I will take him any day over your high earning Kwame type motherfuckers. I'm sorry, because it not only that, it comes with a whole lot of shit. When one of them unicorns do get a job, it comes with a lot of shit, and part of that is you're not gonna be the only one. Because black men that actually earn high, one pussy is not enough. It's gonna be at least 2, possibly 3, 2 in a possible. But we'll get there.
Well, DZ, fun fact. In 2016, 1 in 5 black men were unemployed. So, but stats are racist.
You know what's funny
now
about
after
those?
the pandemic?
And you know what's funny about those? I bet you that the majority of that 35% is literally just men who are around 18 or 19, and then the rest of them, like, I feel like it would be way higher, but the rest of them are in jail.
Yeah, I can see that.
I have a question to the one who mentioned the stats of 2016. I think, do you think it could be like 4 out of 5 black men that are unemployed?
Girl, them niggas don't work. Shit. They work 1 week. If they don't get fired for sexual harassment or being lazy, they usually just quit. Like, they just leave and never come back.
Honey.
Or being an addict.
Yeah.
A lot of them are addicts.
Yes. When I used to work the ER, they used to have to do random drug screens on them all the time, because you'll find them staring into space, having slow reaction time. They be sitting there, right, just higher than a fucking kite. And these are the people that's responsible for taking one patient to another area to get an x-ray or whatever, and you sending them down the hallway with a high bitch.
Right. And then they like to, when the doctor's like, oh, go give them this drug, they like to bang the shit against the side of the sharps container. Disposal, and then they put that shit in their pocket and they go get high in the bathroom.
I can't. Whenever y'all see black men at the hospital and they have on scrubs, 9 times out of 10, you're looking at somebody that's either an addict or they're fucking a nurse, a mammy nurse that's giving him shit out of that hospital. Exactly. Dead ass serious. But yeah, protect. Do I even need to go over this shit? Do I? Do I? Do I? It seems so self-explanatory, but every day.
But you can't go off of that though. You know these motherfuckers are slow.
I would take Thanos over those bitches. I'm serious. I would take Thanos with a few rings over those bitches. Few of them stones, yeah.
Thanos wanted to do what was right. He thought that getting rid of a third of the universe was a good idea. And I think he was trying to get rid of the niggas, honestly, because
he's just gonna get rid of Africa.
Yeah, just wipe the motherfuckers off the mouth. Let's start over.
The thing is, you have to keep. I don't understand what you're still on the fence about. I don't know what you're still on the fence about. Please do not let these Johnny come lately. Oh, we have to try and protect black women. Pandering ass motherfuckers get your panties in a bunch. They don't mean it at all. They've meant what they said from the very beginning. They are not required or obligated to protect you up under any circumstances. Okay? You don't remind them of their mother or their sister, and I'd be damned if I didn't mention the fact that they knocking their mamas and their sisters off these days. Okay? They've never protected you. Give me a goddamn break. It's never happened.
On the holidays, mind you.
Right. Not only are they not protecting you, they are the ones that's beating your ass. You already know this shit. We go over it a lot. Okay? For Black women, domestic violence risks are extremely high. In fact, they are 30 to 50% more likely to experience domestic violence than white women. How y'all get past that? I don't know. Shane?
Yes, ma'am. I don't really have anything to add on this part. We already know the stats on this, and we already
Well, they pretending like it don't exist. Y'all, when I'm not up in here on YouTube, I hang out like a bat upside down in other places just looking around, seeing who's saying what. And they don't believe this shit is true.
Because you racist.
Right. These came from Black publications, y'all. Protect? Nah. They're the ones that's going to make sure you're not protected. You are the most unprotected thing on earth. And that's because the people that were charged with protecting you said, fuck you. Fuck you with no lube.
No Vaseline.
No Vaseline, no lube.
That's what they like anyway. Maggots.
In this section of the article, they're telling you why you remain silent. I was disgusted to find out that you remain silent because you're scared of what the police are going to do to him. Excuse me? I don't think so. I don't fucking think so. Hey, Dusties, remember that stat you asked me to show you? There it is. I think this might be the most disgusting part of this show tonight. You said you wanted your shit cited. There it is. And this is lower than the other one that they reported.
These are just the ones they report, though, DZ. These ain't even all. I'm sure it's in the 90s.
Yes.
Facts.
I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that at all. 90s.
I most definitely think it's in the 90s.
Y'all scared of what the police gonna do to them, and y'all sacrificing us to do so because you don't want them to chip a nail on Tyrone. It's pretty quiet, so let me go ahead and share this link because motherfuckers asked me 50 billion goddamn time. Where you getting that number from? I can't find that number. You capping. Let me go ahead and put the link down here.
All you gotta do is Google the shit.
Listen,
Google is free.
They be gaslighting their ass off. Honey, the stat is there. Period. Zach, your camera is on, sir. And I have a very, very controversial space, and I don't want you to get your ass handed to you. How may I help you?
Oh, well, I know that this is mostly for women, but just wanted to throw in my 2 cents if that's okay.
That's fine. I'm all ears.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know that the camera was the reason, but in any case, just average white guy, early 30s and married. So I think that, you know what I like most about you is that you're completely no nonsense about this. I think that there's just sort of this built-in thing, I guess it seems like in the Western world, that we're supposed to be politically correct and that somehow, you know, the not offending people somehow supersedes the truth. But
right,
the thing is, genuine love, if you genuinely love somebody, I mean, one of the hallmarks of genuine love is that you prefer to tell them the harsh truth over a cushy lie. I mean, I
absolutely love Black women. This is why I say it the way I do, because I want them to get as far away from the bullshit as possible. So you're right on that.
And I do too. So that's one of the reasons. I mean, not in the same way you do, because me being a guy, I'm attracted to them. So,
right,
you know, but I feel the same way. So, I mean,
how did you find my platform? Just curious.
Well, the thing is, I've done a decent amount of research. You know, I looked at people like Crystal and Karazin and a lady who, you know, did the crystal swirls she did her YouTube platform, but
Mm-hmm.
something has happened to that. And, you know, my wife is, you know, half white, half black. So I guess the reason why it just was, I guess it started with a curiosity because of something that my parents said a while ago.
What'd your parents say?
Well, it was something that they said years ago, and I find very interesting. I mean, just full disclosure, I come from a, you know, a very a traditional conservative Christian background,
Gotcha. I know exactly that's how my in-laws are. So
and it's just interesting because sometimes you have people in your life who say something that's at the time seems kind of off the cuff, or just they seem to mention it sort of like in passing, and then it kind of affects you later on. And it's just that's how it was with me. Like, you know, my mom told, along with my dad, they told me that, you know, should I ever get married someday, that what they care about is that she's a Christian like I am. And they said, you know, if you decide you know, don't worry, like we care about her character and that she's a follower of Christ. So if you decide, like, if you fall in love with a black woman, then you don't have to worry about us objecting because of race. And it's just interesting because at the time it just seemed like kind of a random comment. And
mm-hmm.
you know, it's interesting because the lady I married, you know, she's half white and half black. And it's just interesting that what initially seemed like kind of an off the cuff thing ended up being one of those, you know, one of those things that later had a lot of effect on me. And
Well, Zach, let me tell you this.
hmm?
It's so interesting that you showed up for this particular show because the black community would consider you a bottom shelf Brad. Have you ever heard the insults that are hurled whenever black women say that's enough, I'm leaving? Then they start calling motherfuckers bottom shelf. Have you heard those insults?
I have heard some of the pejorative or in, you know, the insulting terms that they refer to, the, you know, that are the double standard where, you know, black men generally they can get away with a lot of stuff that in terms of interracial dating and other areas. And whereas if black women decide to do the same thing, there are certain just really insulting terms, and I know
Mm-hmm.
what those are. However, out of respect, I would like to refrain from repeating them, but I have
Okay,
heard of some of
let
them.
me translate to the mammies and the dusties. He said respect. You want me to tell you what the fuck that means, or are you good? Dusties, respect is where you go ahead and make sure that you're not being inappropriate and you respect others that are around you. I know that you got lost on that word, so I didn't want you to be lost in the conversation. Respect is something that's very foreign in Blackistan. As a matter of fact, they pride themselves on disrespect, which is the antithesis of respect. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Go ahead.
I guess for some individuals, unfortunately, respect is like a foreign language.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, I guess what I wanted to say to contribute, if it's all right, like it's interesting because I know that like typically the black community, like I would say the majority of people in the black community have voted Democrat. And because of me being, you know, very conservative and stuff, that was initially one of the reasons why I was kind of hesitant to, you know, go out there initially. Not the racial stuff, but it was more the political aspect that, you know, there are certain individuals who seem to have too much time on their hands, and they kind
Man,
of
tell me about it.
they're
Tell me
just,
about it.
you know, there are some individuals who have too much time on their hands, like they have more time than sense, so to speak. And you can fill in the blanks with what I
Oh
mean.
man.
So
Yep.
yeah, it's the kind of thing that, you know, me being a straight white male, you know, in this society, at least among the radical leftists, I'm basically fair game for any kind of reputation destroying game that they would like to play if I do anything that's the slightest bit out of line in their minds. So that was one of the reasons why, you know, initially I wasn't as inclined to go over to, you know, to date people, a group of people who generally, not always, but generally tend to vote Democratic because of the whole party politics thing. However, what happened in the case of my wife is that she was a childhood friend, and my brother was actually the one who introduced me to her. So,
Okay.
it was, we met in church, and it was really nice because my brother was the one who introduced me to her, and he started talking to her because, he saw her kind of just standing over there, and he wanted to be friendly and introduce himself to her,
I think you used another word that the black community, well, black is saying is not, especially Dusties, that they aren't familiar with that word, marriage. Marriage. Blackistan, marriage is where a man wants to be with a woman for the rest of his goddamn life. At least he feels like that at the moment he's getting ready to ask. They go down to the courthouse, tell the court, I love this woman. This is our name, driver's license, social security number. And they give you a marriage license. After that, you become married and you're recognized as a couple at the courthouse. They don't know what marriage is. Sorry to interrupt people.
No, that's okay. You got to clarify some things sometimes. But what I was going to say is it was actually very interesting because one night I was actually, just praying to God for wisdom. It's like, so Lord, if it's okay, if it's your will, please, give me advice on who I should, seek, because who I should kind of look at when looking for someone to date. And long story short, I got, he gave me some advice. And so both of us had Facebook accounts. And it's actually really, really funny because I was just talking to her on Facebook. And so I just randomly, in her eyes, completely out of the blue, I said, hey, I got a question. And so she asked me, what was it? And so I said, hey, so I love, so you and I have been friends for a long time, and I respect you a lot. So my question is this: do you want to be more than friends? And apparently, she was so shocked that I sent her that message over Facebook asking her out that way.
Zach, you mean to tell me you didn't say, "Hey, bitch, what that mouth do"? You didn't say that instead. I mean, listen, you're confusing the shit out of the people in the clouds. Saying respectful shit, asking someone out, being cordial. They're not familiar with that. I'm having to be bilingual here.
Well, yeah, I understand. But the thing is, I mean, it's not the responsibility of the child when it comes to having a stable, there being a stable marriage. But I was blessed by God that both of my parents, they did everything possible to, make sure there was a stable family. Like my dad, he never, even when he was, frustrated, he never hit my mom. And he's just he's not a very outgoing person, but he's a very patient person to the point where it can be rather difficult to deal with if you want him to make a decision.
They're lost.
I mean,
you just said your dad didn't hit your mom. And most black women are indeed punching bags when they deal with Dusties. So again, translation. He didn't commit domestic violence against this man's mother, i.e. gaslighting, i.e. mental abuse, i.e. right hooks type shit. So
yeah. So
thank you, Patricia. She's so silly.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that that's something I didn't have any control over. So I think the right thing to do is just give thanks to God that that was the case, because I know that there are a lot of children who sadly grew up with without that stuff. And it's
77% to be exact in the black community. And in your community, it's over 90% whenever the father happens to be Dusty. So it's extremely high. When you say extremely high, you don't know how high you're talking.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, both of my parents, both my parents are white, so it wasn't anything like an interracial marriage. But in any case, if it's all right with you, I know that I was just watching one of those videos when another YouTuber, I can't remember her name, but if it's all right with you, DZ, I wanted to. I know that black women sadly get their image dragged by black men a lot.
Yep.
And if it's all right with you, I wanted to do the opposite of that. I know that sadly a lot of men, disrespect black women, and there's really no excuse for it. So if it's all right with you, I want to do the opposite in that regard. And I wanted to share some attributes that in general, not always, but in general, the attributes that I consider to be desirable in black women, because unfortunately that often gets either completely ignored or downplayed. And
well,